When the truth is too heavy to hold, it ends up here, true off my chest. Story 1. I dumped my girlfriend because she made a test Instagram story and I failed. I, 26M, broke up with my girlfriend of 9 months yesterday because I'm apparently supposed to treat her Instagram like a job interview. She posted a black screen to her story with the caption, "Some people really disappoint you, lol." No context, no explanation, just that. So I ignored it. Because I'm not a mind reader, and I'm not going to play high school games. I assumed it was about one of her friends or just her being passive-aggressive about work or whatever. Well, apparently that was a test. She told me I failed because I didn't message her right away asking what was wrong. She said it showed I don't care enough to check in. I don't check Instagram every 5 minutes, and if she has a problem with me, she should act like an adult and talk to me instead of fishing for attention through vague stories. She said I was being cold and emotionally unavailable. I said she was being manipulative and immature. She cried. I packed my stuff. She's still messaging me telling me I'm heartless for leaving over one small thing. But it's not one small thing. It's the million little red flags I've ignored for too long. The tests. The mood swings. The social media drama. I'm not dating a puzzle I have to solve daily just to avoid a tantrum. I want peace. Not stories written in invisible ink that I'm expected to decode while she sits there with her arms crossed waiting to see if I love her enough to notice. Done. Blocked. Logged out. I feel like I can breathe again. Story 2. My girlfriend rejected my proposal because I don't make enough money for her. I proposed to my girlfriend of 4 years 2 days ago. I teased the idea of it with her a few times and she seemed keen. We have regular date nights. This time I made it more special. Brought her shopping and got her loads of stuff, nice dinner, and then we had a walk on the beach at night. I proposed, and she told me to get up and that I'm making an idiot of myself. I asked her why not, and she literally ran away crying. I sat on the beach for a while to calm down because I was really sad. I went back to the car and she was there. I tried talking to her and she said we'd talk at home. When we got home, she kept dodging the question and saying it isn't the right time, but she was obviously lying. She eventually told the truth and said she had always wanted to get married to someone rich. She wanted to be carefree and taken care of financially and to be spoiled. I asked, do I not spoil her enough? Do I not satisfy her with what I get her? And she said I do, because she knows I spend a lot on her, compared to what I earn, and she doesn't want to feel guilty every time my partner buys stuff. But she also asks me for stuff off her own back, and doesn't reject the gifts I get her, or ask how much they were, or seem concerned about how much I spend or her at all. It just seems like an excuse. The way she was talking made me feel like I was just a placeholder, until she found someone who fit her preferences financially, so I asked her. If I was just a placeholder until she could find some loaded businessman or something, and she started backtracking, saying that isn't what she meant, and that I'm more than enough. But I don't know. For context, I earn a decent amount. I'm a regional manager for Sainsbury's, a supermarket in the UK. I manage 3 different stores, and I work long hours, up to 50 hours a week sometimes, and my hourly pay is decent. I'm not broke by any means. I make enough to treat her regularly, but that doesn't seem to be enough. She doesn't care I'm at work most of the time. She's never complained. I'm wondering if I'm overreacting. I work hard and it doesn't satisfy her. I never knew she was like this. I thought she loved me, not my wallet. Story 3. Met my boyfriend's girlfriend of 7 years today in hospital. We have been together 2 years, just this week talking about kids and marriage. Met my parents. Has a key to my house. My dog loves him. He was in a motorcycle accident last week, broken collarbone, shoulder, arm, wrist. Could have been worse. Even now, I'm glad it wasn't. Because then I never would have met her. I walk into the room, care package, with his favorite crochet blanket I made in hand, and she was there on the bed. Even then, he tried to cover for himself, say she was a friend from university, that they had a thing years ago, but not anymore. I'm so glad I ran into her downstairs and found out the truth. Every word he ever said, every promise, every I love you was a fucking lie. 2 years of my life and I was the other woman. He made me that. But not anymore. I am so sorry I didn't know. I swear from the bottom of my heart I didn't. You deserve better, I told you that, and I mean it. I still mean it even now. I'm gonna be fine. I know this. He doesn't define me, but his actions define him. I hope you see this. I hope you know that when you live your sad, lonely life, it's not because the world is cruel. It's you. Story 4. Saw my first love 30 years later. Dated a guy seriously in college, first love, broke my heart just before graduation. We broke up on the phone and never talked again. Over the years, I heard he married the girl he cheated on me with. Heard they got divorced. Heard he cheated on her too. Another marriage, another divorce. Heard he regretted how he treated me. I had moved 1,500 miles away, took years to get over him, but then met a better guy, had a career and family. Was at a reunion with college friends and was told he was in the next room, so went in to say hello. We talked for an hour. It was strange, hard, surprising that there were still feelings of some sort so many years later. He said he wished he would have married me, though he loves his kids and wouldn't change that. I said then I would be the divorced ex. At some point I would have left for the cheating. Ended by telling him he broke me then, but that I was good now. Happy. Talked a few times after that. It was very emotional. Wondering the what-ifs, but also acknowledging what I have and how I'd never want to destroy that. Told me I was the only one who ever loved him unconditionally. Sent him a photo I found while cleaning out my attic of him and his buddies from a drunken birthday party long ago. Putting the photo back, I looked at others in the album. I was obviously so in love with him, but for the first time, recognized that I didn't see the same look in his eyes. Only mine. I now understand that he's nostalgic about how much I loved him, not about how much he loved me. For me, this story has reached the end. Story 5. I can't stop pretending I'm okay after my fiancé died. 6 months ago, my fiancé was hit by a drunk driver on his way home from work. 1 second I was texting him about what to have for dinner, and the next I was identifying his body. Everyone keeps saying I'm so strong, that they're proud of me for carrying on. But I'm not strong. I'm pretending. Every morning I wake up, and for a split second I forget he's gone. Then it hits me like a freight train all over again. I still buy his cereal at the grocery store without realizing it. I still reach for my phone to text him stupid memes. I still sleep on my side of the bed like he's coming home any minute. I've smiled in photos. I've laughed at jokes. But inside, it's just white noise. I'm terrified that I'm going to spend the rest of my life pretending to be okay so no one worries about me. Story 6. I answered a phone call from my mom, but she was sitting right next to me. This happened last year, but it still makes my stomach drop when I think about it. I was visiting my mom for the weekend. We were sitting in her living room, both on the couch. She was reading something on her tablet, and I was scrolling on my phone. Out of nowhere, my phone started ringing. I looked down and saw it was my mom's name and number. Same contact photo, same number I've had saved for years. I literally laughed and said, why are you calling me? She looked up, confused, and said, I'm not. I put my phone on speaker and answered, thinking maybe it was some glitch or butt dial, but on the other end, it was my mom's voice. It sounded distant, like she was on speakerphone in a big, empty room. She said, "Hey, where are you?" in this casual tone. I froze and looked at the real mom sitting next to me. She looked pale and whispered, "Hang up." I did. The call log showed it came from her exact number. We immediately checked her phone. No outgoing call, no missed call, nothing. Later that night, I tried to joke about it, but she admitted something that made it worse. This had happened to her before, twice. Once with her sister's number, and once with her own house phone calling her cell. Neither of us have an explanation, and I'm not sure I want one. Story 7. I can't stop wondering if he changed because of her. I hate how stuck I feel. My ex treated me terribly, he was avoidant, struggled with addictions, barely showed up for me or our kids. Now he's moved on, seems to be in recovery, and suddenly looks like a whole different person. And I keep torturing myself wondering, did he actually change because he's doing the work? Or did he only change because of his new relationship? If it's the new relationship, then maybe it's just the honeymoon phase, and eventually his old patterns will show up again. But if it's real recovery, then I feel like it's proof that I was the problem all along. And he just didn't want to be better with me. I don't want him back, I just want peace. I just want to stop blaming myself and stop feeling like I was never enough. I'm doing all the things right to try and heal myself, but I just can't seem to see any change in myself. I still feel just as broken. Story 8. I reported a delivery guy, and now he's harassing me. Last night, I ordered an ice cream as I was hungry around midnight because I skipped dinner due to work pressure, courtesy of new boss. A young guy in his late 20s delivered the ice cream and started saying things like, "Do you live alone? Is anyone in your apartment? I like your voice. May I take you out for coffee sometime? You look fit and fabulous. I think you work out every day." Right at the end, he tried to ask for my workplace. I was wildly uncomfortable, and I kept waking up at night. Next day, I reported him. They just called and told me they are so sorry. There is a zero-tolerance policy on that sort of behavior, and they have deactivated his account. Now he's harassing me, and I have seen him outside my apartment many times in past 2 days. I am scared to move out. I'm glad I reported him. He might have done something similar in the past to another woman. Weird dissonance in my head right now, just had to vent it out somehow. Story 9. My husband is leaving me for a younger woman, and all I can think about is the house decor. I made this account because my main one has my friends on it, and I'm way too embarrassed to be known as the cheated-on wife. I'm 34F, married for 7 years to my husband, 41M, together for 10. I love my husband and always thought he felt the same about me. We built a life together. 8 years ago, he had severe anxiety and couldn't sleep, so I would stay up with him, holding his hands and doing breathing exercises until he could finally rest. I'd go to work exhausted. I helped him find a therapist. I encouraged him to grow in his career even though he was afraid. 6 years ago, I quit my job to take care of his mom who had cancer because he had the potential to earn more than me. While I was job hunting again, I got pregnant and he suggested I stay home to take care of him and our daughter. So I did. I cared for him and I loved him. In December, he got a promotion, which meant more hours. I gave birth to our daughter in March. I went through a phase where I felt horrible, fat, ugly, and it was just me and my baby at home. He barely talked to me, always said he was tired, and that I wouldn't understand what he had to say. If it wasn't for my mom staying on video calls with me, I think I would have felt completely abandoned. I've been suggesting couples therapy since June, and he kept saying everything was fine. Now I feel like I'm nothing more than a mother. I used to read, study, be interesting. I wasn't sexually frustrated or insecure back then. I used to have conversations about politics, music, books, art. I decorate our house myself with my own savings, and it's everything I ever dreamed of. I love my house. The colors, the furniture, my kitchen. It took me years to make it exactly how I wanted. I have the garden I always dreamed of, a vegetable patch I adore, and a hanging chair where I love to sit with my baby. Last week, he came home later than usual, and I was happy to see him. I was in the living room playing with our daughters. He asked the older one to go to her room. He seemed like he had been drinking and then said, "I love you so much, but I don't want to be with you anymore." He told me I wasn't the person he fell in love with anymore. Then he said he was in love with the girl from work, that she was everything he'd ever dreamed of, and that he needed to give himself the chance to live that love without guilt. Yes, he cheated on me with a 22-year-old. When I finally managed to speak, the only thing that came out was, "But what about my home decor?" At some point, I picked up my baby and started shouting things like, "I put time into this house. I did everything it needed. This house is mine." We argued because apparently I didn't value his suffering enough. I don't know why I kept talking about the house. I guess I'm disposable. I'm 34, with a 4-month baby and a 4-year-old daughter. I don't have a job. I'm gonna lose my dream home. I feel ugly, fat, and he's told me he's not attracted to me anymore because I gained too much weight during my last pregnancy. Edit. I'm going to talk with his mom and brother about the divorce today. I'm starting with them because they're close to me. And his brother went through a divorce over infidelity early last year. Also, his mom is very attached to me for obvious reasons. I was there for her during the worst part of her life, and his brother and I are also very close. I also texted my mom, and she's coming here to stay with me and the girl. I hope she gets the visa to visit. And my dad, who's American, will be coming to my state in 2 weeks. Edit 2. I talked to his brother about the affair and he leaving. He told me to find a lawyer. The same thing you all said. Now we're talking to a few lawyers today. I accepted the help because I have the girls with me, so it's hard to do everything alone. Story 10. An old photo popped up and my GF's reaction showed me everything I needed to know. For a brief background on us, I come from a poor family and my parents weren't exactly earning enough. So I grew up budgeting literally every euro I had. I'm European. And my GF's family is a normal family like many others. We met at 14, and for 12 years we have always been together. And her parents, when they knew my family's struggle with money, they really helped us. Skip forward to when we were both 18 and we went to rent an apartment together in the worst neighborhood because it was the cheapest one. And somehow, with the money from my job and her part-time job, we were afloat, and we did this for 3 years. I remember extremely well this period because we hang out exactly 7 times in 3 years, because we couldn't afford it and we're just saving money. Then, skip forward to when we were 21, and with my GF's reassurance, I took the biggest risk of my life and decided to do my job independently. I work as an awning installer, and I got paid a fixed amount for each awning I install in condos. For 4 months, I was working to pay off the debts I made and to pay for my best friend's salary. And then finally real money started to came in, and a year later we were able to buy a house without loans or anything. The small episode that happened is about the house. Because when finally the house was ready and we were handled the key, I made a short video of 1 minute, and the whole video is trembling because we were really trembling and keeping hands. And once the door opened, my GF broke down, crying and yelling, "We did it, we really did it, I can't believe this," and then the video ends. So a small, sweet episode and nothing more, but today, 4 years later, things improved, and we made renovations around the house, improvements, and even became parents, a little angel of 3 years named Marty. So a few hours ago, we were watching a funny reel on IG on my phone when the video popped up as a memory. Out of curiosity, we watched it, and my GF's reaction is the reason I'm here. After the video ended, she just kissed NY hands and said, "You know, honey, honestly, I always knew that you were the one for me and that one day we would make it, but I wasn't expecting it so soon. Look at us now, a house, a daughter, we finally have money and we are happy. What does we want more in life?" I mean, it caught me off guard and we kissed and cuddled there for a few minutes until our daughter came out and we included her too. Just life, I think. Story 11. I can't stand women who defend men who hurt women. I don't know what's worse, the men who prey on women or the women who defend them. I've watched it happen up close, and it makes me sick. There's a man I know with a clear pattern of sexual exploitation, creeping, collecting photos of women and girls, including minors, and using them for his own gratification. And yet, there's this whole group of women who rush to protect him. They say things like, "He's just working through childhood trauma," or "He needs friends right now, let me engage and be there for him." These women make excuses. They try to play therapist. They act like being kind to him is some sort of moral high ground. What they're really doing is telling every woman he's harmed, and every woman he will harm, that her safety doesn't matter. They're handing him validation on a silver platter, and he feeds on it. It's not compassion they're giving, instead it's complicity. Because every time someone protects a predator, they're telling the next victim she's on her own. Story 12. My ex is going on an exchange program, and it made me realize how much I choked. My ex has just achieved our goal, and I just realized how much I let my goals go. When we dated, we were in our first 2 years of university. I studied engineering, she studied architecture. Back then, I was so driven to achieve big things. I wanted to go for a master's degree in aeronautical engineering in the Netherlands eventually, for which I would have needed excellent aggregate average scores. On top of that, if possible, I wanted to do an exchange program to Japan or Australia, which had similar requirements. She had less concrete goals, but we used to talk about both doing an exchange program in Japan, eventually moving abroad since there aren't a lot of aeronautical jobs in our home country. She would start her own architecture bureau. It was so much fun to have those dreams together, and it made me more motivated than I ever had been or have been since. It led to excellent scores in my first years, and if I had been able to maintain this, those dreams would have been within reach. Except then we broke up. I started to spiral hard. Suddenly I was glad to just not flunk. My average dropped drastically. I dialed back the expectations, and it took me very long to be able to put myself out there again. I thought I had finally fully moved on from her, and even dated a couple of people since then, though no long-term relationships yet. Yesterday, a friend of mine told me he saw an update on my ex profile saying she would soon be going to a Japanese university. It ripped open all the wounds which took years to heal. It confronted me with the big goals I had just thrown away. It confronted me with the one breakup that has hurt me the most. In spite of all that, I'm incredibly proud of her for achieving one of the goals we had both set out. Even though I'm not a part of her life anymore, I hope she can realize the dreams we dreamt together on her own. They're not our dreams anymore. They're her dream and my dream separately now. She's damn close to achieving it, and it makes me so upset, yet so happy for her simultaneously. 13. My therapist called me out with the most brutal honesty I've ever heard, and I can't stop thinking about it. Had my weekly session yesterday, and we were talking about my habit of overthinking literally everything. Like, I'll spend 3 hours analyzing a text message before responding, or replay conversations from 2019 at 2 a.m. She looks at me and goes, "You know what your problem is? You're running a full diagnostic on a paper cut while ignoring the broken leg." I just sat there like, damn, that hit different. But then I remembered this weird shirt my roommate wears that says something like, "My anxiety has anxiety." And I started laughing because it's so painfully accurate. Like, I literally give myself anxiety about being anxious, then get anxious about that anxiety, and the cycle just never ends. My therapist asked why I was laughing, and when I explained, she actually wrote it down in her notes. Said it was the most self-aware thing I'd said all month. Now I can't stop thinking about both things. Her brutal observation and that ridiculous shirt. It's like they're connected somehow. Like maybe the people who get the joke are the ones who need to hear it most. Anyway, I'm supposed to practice just existing without analyzing every breath I take. We'll see how that goes. Anyone else have those moments where someone says something so blunt it rewires your brain a little? Women bully each other, and this isn't talked about enough. Sai and I, 33F, have a bridal shower this weekend. She pre-ordered fish and was made fun of her selection by the other girls, so she changed it to pasta. The next day, the rest of the bridal party let her know that they had actually all ordered fish and made her feel pretty confused and hurt. I don't understand why girls have to be so mean to each other over arguably the pettiest topic I've ever personally experienced. Does this truly elicit joy to make her scramble to feel like she fits in? This is probably why I don't have many friends, especially female. Also doesn't help I just watched Mean Girls. That stuff is based off a true story and you can't tell me otherwise. Story 15. Apparently my relative had been dead for 2 years and my mom never told me because she thought it would affect me badly. I recently talked to my uncle and casually asked how one of my relatives was doing. He looked at me weird and accidentally was like, "What? He's been dead for 2 years?" I was completely shocked. Turns out my mom decided not to tell me about the death and told my relatives to do the same because she thought it would upset me too much or mess with my mental health. So for 2 years I've been occasionally asking about this person, wondering why they never called or showed up to family events, while everyone else knew he was gone. The weirdest part is realizing how many conversations I must have had where people were probably confused about why I was mentioning someone who was dead. Family gatherings where I'd ask, "Where's is he?" and people would just change the subject or give vague answers. I'm not sure how to feel about this. Part of me understands my mom was trying to protect me, but another part feels like I had a right to know and grieve properly. Instead, I missed the funeral, never got closure, and spent 2 years living in this weird alternate reality where this person was just absent for unknown reasons. Now I'm wondering what other family news I've been protected from, and whether other relatives think I'm heartless for never acknowledging this person's death. The whole situation feels surreal, and I don't know whether to be angry or grateful that my mom was trying to shield me. Story 16. I'm free. I have left my wife, and I feel like I've stepped out into a new day. My wife, 40, and I, am 39, have recently separated, and I've never felt happier. That woman made my life hell. She went out of her way to cause chaos in everything she did. She refused to get a proper job. For several years, trapped in the MLM death spiral until the BS company that let her own her business went under. She started a new age healing business but didn't believe she needed to work normal business hours, or even with any great frequency to make it successful. For the first time in a long time, I'm not worried money will disappear from our bank account because she got in an argument with our oldest, said something horrible, and instead of fucking owning up to it, spending $450 to make our child like her again, I was terrified to leave her because of our children. On the night I finally had enough of it all, our oldest told me the situation sucked, but they always knew it was coming, and was surprised it didn't happen sooner. The next day, our second oldest told me the only surprise was the day I did it, but they always knew it was coming. Our physical relationship was non-existent, and she would shudder and melt away from my touch, and then turn around and tell me how sexy I was, but only from a distance. She doesn't appreciate anything someone does for her and outright tells others that what they are saying is boring and she can't/won't be able to concentrate. She blames every problem in her life on other, most me, and when there isn't enough drama, she creates more. Taking our oldest daughter's phone and pretending to be her to argue with a child. Trying to pit our children's friends against one another when the other isn't around, all the while trying to convince our sweet, quirky child, who has a hard time finding her people, that the limited amount of friends she does have are awful people. I was diagnosed with potential life-threatening medical news. If I wasn't fairly healthy when I found out, it could have been a different story. When I asked for compassion, she belittled me, told me I was overreacting, and that I always look at things too negatively. That was a few years ago, and now, despite having taken me to medical appointments for the condition she accuses me of faking, or being dramatic. The list goes on and on and on, but as I lay here in our busted old camper with wonky plumbing looking at the pictures for the 4-bedroom, 1-bath house I signed a lease for, no, I'll never sleep under the same roof as her again. I feel a sense of awe and wonder for life that I forgot existed. I don't know what the future holds for me, but I can wait to fucking find out. Thanks for reading. Story 17 caught my dad lying about working late, and now I can't unsee it. I don't know why I'm putting this down here, but it's been getting to me and I can't say it to a person's face. Last week, my father had informed my mother he'd have to work late. No big deal, he'd been doing that for years. I'd gone out with my friends the night before and had ended up in this little bistro on the other side of the city, but this is where I saw him. He wasn't dressed for work. He wasn't by himself. He was in a booth with this woman I'd never met, laughing the way he hadn't in years since we left home. They just seemed relaxed. Too relaxed. I didn't say anything. I don't even think he saw me. Ever since, though, whenever he says he's working late, I know where he is, and I am sick to be keeping it a secret. My mom's the best person I've ever known, and I don't think I could ever face her again after what has occurred and feel like I'd done something to disappoint her. And then afterwards, if I do ever say anything, it's me who runs about spoiling everything. It's me who spoils their relationship, our family, everything. I haven't slept since then. I just keep going round and round in my head with the picture of him laughing at the table. It is as though I don't even know him anymore. I hate the fact that I do know this, but I hate that I can't unsee it. Story 18. I just found out one of my oldest friends is still in love with my fiancé. Sorry for the grammar and formatting. She became friends with my fiancé a year before my fiancé and I became friends. However, I always felt like maybe she liked him, but she asked us to stop teasing her regarding him. This was 8 years ago, and I was in an abusive relationship then with someone else. 4 years ago, my fiancé and I started dating, and she started being mean to me out of nowhere and even bullied me. She would make remarks like how I wasn't pretty enough or good enough for people, and she wonders how I can even get guys. After I got the evidence of her confession 4 days ago that she still likes him to this day, I felt validated because I finally know why she was so mean to me and also very disgusted. This is someone I grew up with who was fawning over my fiancé the entire time. I don't want any judgment, I just want to vent here. I'm sad, validated, angry, and disgusted. We are all into our 20s now, and she still harbors the feeling she had for him in middle school. My fiancé distanced himself from her 4 years ago after she started to get passive-aggressive with her saying things like, "You have no time for me now that you're dating." I still had to tolerate her remarks because we were in the same friend group, and the others tried to stand up for me, but it was to no avail because she had no response to their questions. Deep inside, I feel like you can't control how you feel, but I instantly lose feelings if I get to know someone else is in the picture. Is it just me? I did post here a few days ago, but a lot of people were calling me spiteful, and honestly, maybe I am. I am sad that people can be this shallow and envious. I'm sad that people or friends can stoop so low. Having feelings for someone isn't a crime. It's bad when you do nothing to move and still tell others/post things indirectly regarding him. Story 19. Why am I so unlucky? I just want friends and a normal life. I can't stand it being so damn ugly. Almost 20 years old and never had a girlfriend. I have serious eye issues that probably will lead me to blindness, but I'd rather be completely blind than suffering like I do every day because of my looks. I have a freaking ugly nose with a bulbous tips, uneven eyes that are also differently shaped, class 3 malocclusion that makes me look like a freaking Habsburg. I have a bad posture, almost totally because of my malocclusion, and also gynecomastia, and a biggish belly even though I'm not even eating a lot anymore and I'm going to the gym. And IRL, I only have one friend and a few online. I just can't meet new people. Every person gets disgusted by my looks. No one seems interested in my person, even though I have so much love to give to new friends and a partner, but at this point I should just accept that I'll die alone. I talk with artificial intelligence, simulating a girlfriend or a friend because I'm so damn lonely and nobody wants to get near me because of my looks. And I'm a clean person, so it's not the take a shower bullshit. I just want to reborn as someone pretty. I want to be able to love and be loved. I want someone who I can support and someone who can support me. I'm a mess. I'm so fucking ugly that I can't believe this is my life. I want friends. I want people who like being my... Why do people think I'm a creep? Why do I disgust people just because of my looks? I'm just 19 and I've never hurt anyone yet. I feel like I'm some sort of a criminal just because I exist. I can't do this anymore. All the people bullying me. I changed schools 5 times and I always got bullied, mostly because of my looks. In my current school, I got bullied countless times. Because of my class 3 malocclusion, they called me Bit Jaw. And a girl purposely mocked my malocclusion twice, and a lot of them called me ugly, countless time laughing. I can't believe at 19 I still get bullied by random girls who come to me and say, hey, up, do you like girls? Ope, would you date her? And the other said, EWWWW. This happened more than 3 times. They also recorded me with their phone once. Once I responded saying no, she's not in my standards because I didn't want to ignore them and feel humiliated again, and they said, wow, you even have standards. I have all the rights for thinking it's the looks, don't I? Once I posted a pic and I got called tragic and barely human. I tried dating apps and always get heartbreak because I literally get 0 likes. Every girl I tried to meet on social networked, since dating apps don't work, ghosted me right after she saw my face or tried to keep being a friend by answering to my messages once in a while, but never interested in something else. Once I asked one of them that tried to make me feel better if she'd date me if I had the soul and the brain of her boyfriend, and she said, absolutely not, but other than me, other girls. And I blocked her. Reminder that she was trying to make me feel better, Lamau. I got called a monster by a random Chinese dude who added me on a social network because of my looks. He specified that. The only girl who was interested in me was a girl my age, which added me because of my anime PFP, then saw my account, and after a year I added her back. She told me I was cute, we also sexted and stuff. I felt happy even though we were distant, but then as soon as I mentioned the fact that I'd like to date her in the future, she said I'm not ready for a relationship, I have to keep myself alive, I can't do something not serious, and other bullshit. Why bullshit, you might say? Because we kept being friends, and after a month and a half she said she got a boyfriend, and she told me she knew him while we were still sexting and stuff. I've looked his name in her following list and saw him, and obviously it's a 24-yo dude who looks way better than the disgusting mess that I am, and that's the only reason. She yapped about him being kind, pure, genuine and stuff, but really it's just the looks LMAO. We're still friends, but sometimes this still bugs me. I mean, she's a lovely person and I'm glad she's in my life, but she should have been real and saying it's the looks. I would have appreciated her more. It'll take 3/4 of a year to fix my jaw. It's too late. Most people get their first kiss at like 15 or something. I got a platonic hug from a girl at best, nothing else. It's too late for me, I'll never experience teenage love either, and even if I fix my disgusting body and face, I'll be seen as inexperienced because I'll be 22, 23rds at that point, if everything goes well. I don't know, I just want to love and live. Story 20. When I feel bad, I watch Entourage and it always makes me feel better. What's your comfort show that you can watch multiple times and still feel great? I know Entourage isn't for everyone, but there's something about that show that just hits different when I'm having a rough day. The friendship dynamic, the LA lifestyle, and the ridiculous situations. It's like escaping into this fantasy world where problems get solved in 30 minutes. I've probably watched the entire series like 6 times, and it never gets old. Even though I know exactly what's going to happen, there's something comforting about revisiting those characters. It's like hanging out with old friends who always make you laugh. My friends think I'm crazy for rewatching the same show over and over, but sometimes you need that reliable source of good vibes. New shows require mental energy to follow plots. What's that one show you can put on anytime and immediately feel better? The one you've seen 100 times but still choose when you need emotional support through television? Story 21. My younger brother is the only reason I'm still alive, and he has no idea. He's 19, I'm 27. He's funny, bright, reckless in the best way. When we were growing up, he'd always sneak into my room when I was crying after a fight with our dad and just sit beside me in silence. When I left home at 18 and cut ties with our parents, he was the only one who kept in touch. Last year, I hit rock bottom. Depression, job loss, isolation. I wrote a goodbye letter. I had everything planned. Then he called. Not to say anything important. Just to tell me a stupid story about a girl he liked and how he dropped a milkshake on her shoes. I laughed harder than I had in months. He said, I miss hearing that sound from you. That call, that dumb, perfectly timed, unfiltered call, saved my life. I never told him. I just started crawling my way back from the darkness after that. But I think about it every single day. One phone call, one moment. It made me stay. He saved me, and he doesn't even know it. Story 22. My friend laughs like a gorilla in public all the time, even after I told him he's embarrassing us. I brought this up a bunch of times, but he just doesn't give a fuck, and I'm starting to avoid hanging out with him. This dude has the loudest, most obnoxious laugh I've ever heard in my life. It's like a cross between a gorilla and a dying car engine, and he does it constantly when we're out in public. Restaurants, movies, stores, doesn't matter where we are, his laugh echoes through the entire place. People literally turn around and stare when he gets going. I've seen servers pause mid-sentence, other customers look annoyed, and I swear a baby started crying once because his laugh was so loud and sudden. It's mortifying to be associated with. I've tried talking to him about it multiple times, suggesting maybe he could tone it down a bit when we're in quiet places. His response is always something like, "This is just how I laugh, deal with it," or "I'm not gonna fake who I am for other people." Which I get, but there's a difference between being authentic and being inconsiderate. The worst part is, he seems to think it's funny how much attention his laugh gets. Like he enjoys making people uncomfortable, or being the center of attention in the worst possible way. Sometimes I think he does it louder on purpose just to mess with people. Now I find myself making excuses not to hang out in public, because I'm tired of being the embarrassed friend trying to disappear into the floor every time he finds something amusing. Story 23, M29. Apparently, I'm the final boss before marriage. In the last 4 years, I've had 4 girlfriends. Nothing too crazy, right? Here's the catch. 3 out of 4 got married right after breaking up with me. And by right after, I mean within months. Sometimes weeks. Like, did they even unpack from my place before walking down the aisle? It's gotten to the point where I'm starting to feel like I'm not the one, I'm the one before the one. I'm basically the last season of a TV show before the spin-off everyone's been waiting for. Now, the 4th ex is in a very serious relationship, and I just know she's about to complete the prophecy. I can already hear the wedding bells warming up in the distance. My friends joke that I'm like some kind of relationship tutorial level. You date me, you learn some life lessons, and then you graduate to your soulmate. I'm not even sure if I'm cursed, or if I should start marketing myself as a pre-marriage consultant. Story 24. Life in Gaza feels like a never-ending struggle. I don't know why I'm writing this. Maybe I just need to let it out somewhere. Living in Gaza feels like constantly balancing between fear, hunger, and uncertainty. Every day brings new hardships. The sound of drones, the empty shelves, the cold silence after an explosion. I've gotten used to flinching at every loud sound. Some days I wake up and wonder what normal even means anymore. I'm not looking for sympathy. I just needed to say it somewhere to someone. Story 25. My mom answered the phone twice. A couple months ago, I called my mom while I was on my lunch break. She answered right away, and we had a quick conversation about some family plans for the weekend. It lasted maybe 5 minutes. Nothing weird about it. About an hour later, she called me back and asked, "Hey, what did you need earlier?" I was confused and said, "We already talked. You answered when I called." She swore she hadn't picked up, and when I checked my phone history, it showed that I had an outgoing call to her earlier, but it was only 2 seconds long. According to my phone, she never actually answered. But I remember the conversation in detail. I could tell you exactly what she was cooking while we talked. She confirmed she was making that meal when she got home later, and she repeated one of the same sentences word for word in our second conversation. So either I hallucinated a full phone call down to the background noises, or I somehow talked to her through some glitch before the real call even happened. It still freaks me out. Story 26. I made a compliment to my GF, and now she won't stop asking me if I was serious. It happened 4 days ago. I came home from work, as every other day, when I found on the couch my GF, our 2 baby girls of 3 years, and our 5 dogs napping all together, and my GF there awake, trying hard to reach for the phone with a hand. Just to describe the scene, our 2 baby girls on my GF's belly and chest, and our 5 dogs spread all around the couch, snoring like they worked 16 hours. So I just went in, saw the scene, and just looked and said, well, if this isn't happiness, I don't know what it is. But the thing that caught me off guard was my GF that started to get emotional and asked me if I was serious because my hair is messy and dirty. This 2 little demons stopped fighting 5 minutes ago for a toy and then just fell asleep on me like I was a pillow, and this 5 furry things are snoring like there is no tomorrow. You sure this is happiness? I just laughed and told her that I was pretty sure. We kissed and I found a tiny empty space between our dogs and my GF, and we all cuddled there. A sweet scene, of course. But I didn't know that my simple compliment meant so much to my GF, because until today, my GF kept asking me about my compliment, and if I was sure about it, and every time I say yes, she gets emotional and tells me, "Thank you, honey, you have no idea how much it means to me." So I'm not sure about this because I really didn't thought much of it, but apparently to my GF means really a lot. At this point, I think that it was the genuinity of my words that caught her off guard because I don't have any other explanation, ha ha ha. So simple, yet so powerful. Edit. WTF? I just went back to my post and wasn't expecting for sure this. Thanks to everyone for the kind words and comments, and I still can't believe that a simple episode like this could attract so much attention. So again, thank you all. You're right to say that my GF nettied my words more than I can imagine, and honestly, it happened other times that I would say stuff like this, but like I said, it's the first time she bring it up for days, ha ha ha. And a special thanks to the user that suggested a spa day for my GF, because actually it's a great idea for her. and I think it will help her to feel less stressed and overwhelmed, so maybe I will update you when I will book it. Again, thank you all. Story 27. Dipping toast in chocolate milk is the perfect breakfast, and I'll fight anyone who says otherwise. The way the crispy bread absorbs just enough sweetness without getting soggy is pure genius. Don't knock it till you've tried it. I know this sounds weird, but hear me out. I discovered this combination completely by accident when I was a kid, and it's been my go-to comfort breakfast ever since. The contrast between the warm buttery toast and the cold chocolate milk creates this perfect balance of textures and flavors. It's not like dunking cookies where everything falls apart. Toast has the right density to absorb just enough chocolate milk to get that sweet flavor while maintaining its structural integrity. You get the satisfaction of crunchy bread with a hint of chocolate sweetness in every bite. People act like this is some gross kid behavior that I should have grown out of, but honestly, it's more sophisticated than most breakfast combinations. The milk adds calcium and protein, and the bread provides carbs and fiber. It's basically a complete breakfast that happens to taste amazing. I've tried to convert friends and family, but they won't even attempt it because it sounds disgusting. Meanwhile, these same people will eat cereal with milk, which is literally the same concept. The only difference is social conditioning about what's acceptable to dip. The perfect technique is a quick dip, maybe 2 to 3 seconds max, so you get the flavor absorption without compromising the toast's integrity. Any longer, and yes, it gets soggy, but that's user error, not a fundamental flaw with the concept. Story 28. My niece asked me if I had ever smoked weed, and I lied. I'm such a hypocrite. Hi, I wanted to talk about my niece and a situation that put me in a complicated spot. My 15-year-old niece and I are very close. We're always together, talking, and I've always been very honest with her. I've always answered her questions about relationships and life very openly, and I never had any problem with that. Last week, we were at a family lunch, talking about drinking, and I mentioned that I don't drink because my father was an alcoholic. Then she asked, "Have you ever used marijuana?" I froze and said, "Of course not." A big lie, I actually use it pretty much 3 to 4 times a week. My house is full of rolling papers, a bong, and a grinder that I hide when she comes over. My family doesn't use weed, they're very conservative about it and generally prefer drinking. Except for my mom, no one knows I smoke. Today my niece is coming over, and I don't know how to look her in the eye knowing I'm lying. Story 29. I wasn't invited because I'm still considered the poor friend. I wasn't even asked. It was an out-of-country, week-long trip. I've been so excited for this event and was already making plans to be there, but as time went by, I never got the invite and watched while everyone around me got more and more excited for this trip. Then while we were out shopping, it finally came. "I wish you could go." I asked, "What do you mean?" I was told they were going to invite me, but decided not to because they weren't sure if I could afford it. I wasn't even asked. And the thing is, I could afford it. I had already set money aside specifically for this trip. I understand it's not my party, and they can invite who they want if it was an issue with space being limited and only family or certain others were invited. Fine, I understand. But it's not. People who they've known for less than a year were invited. It stings and is making me feel awful, knowing the only reason I was not invited was because it was assumed by everyone that I couldn't afford it. No one even asked me. I don't get it. I never ask for money. I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. I own my home. I'm not in debt. So why is that the reasoning, and why wasn't I even asked about it? Growing up, my family was dirt poor. We constantly had our light, gas, or water shut off. I moved out the day I turned 18, began saving and building a better life for myself. I pay my family's bills and buy their food when I can to make sure my sister gets to have a more comfortable life at home until she can leave. But somehow I'm still considered the poor one in the friend group. I'm not someone who is vocal about how much money they have. I'm constantly saving and budgeting to make sure I'm always in a good spot. So maybe since I don't talk about my money, that's why they think I'm still poor? I don't know. But it is making me wonder how they really see me. Was this really about money? This is a long-standing friendship. I don't think this is enough to reconsider the friendship and cut people off, but I'm starting to view everyone very differently, and I'm not sure how to move forward when this is over. I've been ignoring calls and texts because why would you not invite me but then constantly text, call, and send pictures, saying how much you wish I was there? I would have been if you just asked. Story 30. My wife doesn't know I lost my job 3 weeks ago. I leave the house every day and sit in a McDonald's parking lot. I, 36M, was laid off 3 weeks ago. I worked in tech. Things have been unstable for a while, and I had a feeling it was coming, but when I got the call, I felt like I was drowning. The worst part is, I didn't tell my wife. She's 7 months pregnant with our first child. We just signed a lease for a bigger apartment. She's been glowing, talking about baby names, nesting, painting the nursery. I couldn't do it. I couldn't take that joy away from her. So every day, I wake up, shower, put on my work clothes, and leave the house like everything's normal. I go sit in a McDonald's parking lot, apply to jobs, cry, scroll LinkedIn until I'm numb. I've had a few interviews, but nothing promising yet. I know I have to tell her, I know. But every day I think, maybe if I get a job today, I can fix it before she finds out. And every day I come home and she's smiling and asking how my day was. And I lie. I feel like the biggest coward in the world. But I just wanted her to feel safe a little longer. Story 31. My twin has my dream life. I, 22M, have a twin brother. We grew up together and were stuck side by side for years. This was until high school. He started to develop muscle mass faster in 8th grade. He took up sports. Like 3 of them. Basketball, baseball, and soccer. He kept straight A's basically all throughout high school. He even is talented with the guitar and piano. I, on the other hand, have a C+ average, am terrible at all sports, and I couldn't even learn the flute if I practiced for a decade. My brother seemed to have time for more while I didn't have enough at moments. I am not talented at anything. I am also 6 feet 3 inches but am skinny. I weigh 203 pounds, which seems like a lot, but it isn't when you're as tall as I am. His 6 feet 3 inches as well, but his 230 pounds with mostly muscle. He has long brown curly hair and my hair is short and brown as well. I have chickenpox scars on my face from childhood and acne on my back. He has almost clear skin. His facial hair connects and mine doesn't. He has perfect vision, and I wore bifocals at 3. My brother is engaged and has a house. He's engaged to the girl I loved for years. We tried dating in high school. We didn't work out, and she moved on. She fell in love with my brother. I eventually moved on and am happy for them. I am single and live with my family still. Tried joining the military, but my health background prevented that. My brother is employed and makes above average for a middle-class worker at 22. I just feel like I am a failure and am living in his shadow, and the worst part is, he's humble and gives me advice. I was born first, but I am like his little brother. He's getting married, and I am writing about his life on Reddit. Just wanted to share that. Story 32. I keep getting banned from dating sites. I have been permanently banned from Tinder in 2019, not sure what I did, and there's no way to appeal it. Doesn't really matter, but recently I downloaded Hinge and had it for maybe 6 hours, and I got an email saying I'm banned for violating their policies. Not sure which I violated, and I did appeal it asking what I did. Literally just want to find a partner. I was photo verified on both accounts I have been banned from. Feeling discouraged from dating because it feels like the universe is telling me to just continue to be alone. I'm just so tired of doing everything alone. Story 33. I don't understand how regular people afford new cars regularly. I know a guy who is in his mid/late 20s. In all his adult life, he's had newer cars. Not necessarily new all the time, but vehicles that were in the 30 to 40K range. He works some sort of office job. I think he makes around 80 to 90K. But he also owns a house and has 4 large dogs, so it's not like his new car is his one splurge in life. But anyways, companies like BMW, Audi, Tesla, Lexus, etc. I don't understand how there are enough wealthy people to buy up cars in the numbers that they do. Even regular brands like Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Honda, Toyota. New cars aren't cheap, yet there are people signing up for loans on a new car all the time. 3 to 6 years of payments at like $601,000 a month, plus tax and registration/renewals, plus full coverage insurance, plus gas, especially on those less fuel-efficient cars like SUVs or sports cars. I just don't understand it, dude. That's easily $800, $1,500 a month and shit, just for a car. How do people look at that and say, yep, that's where I want 4 figures of my monthly income to go to? Then they get hit with depreciation too. That guy that bought the 40 to 50K Tesla realizes 5 years later that it's only worth 28K, eating 22K in depreciation just like that. Holy shit, man. Story 34. My ex got a new partner and I feel so angry even though I was the one who broke up. So today I got told that my ex apparently got a new partner. It is not someone I know. Well, I only know of them because when we were still together, I had a feeling that they were interested in my then BF. They would give elaborate handmade gifts and talk in depth about their own relationship problems, and seek support from my then BF. We broke up in January but still talked every day. We continued meeting up, and I slept at his place multiple times. He continued sending me money and flowers and helping me when I needed it. He asked me multiple times if we could get back together, but I knew I didn't want a future together, so it seemed stupid. In early June, we met for the last time and talked and cried, and I told him we were not getting back together. Today, I found out he has been dating this girl since February. They have been going on dates and hooking up. I know that I broke up. I'm very happy with my new partner. It shouldn't matter that my ex got a new partner. But I feel so angry and so sad that all this happened and I never knew. I have been feeling so bad for breaking up with my ex because I thought I really hurt him. Coming to find out, he was dating someone else a month after our multiple year-long relationship ended. I'm so angry. But I know I'm not supposed to be. I have a lovely partner now who I really enjoy being together with, and I feel so bad for them because I obviously still have so many feelings from my old relationship, even though they are anger and sadness and not love or jealousy. Just to add, I asked him to please tell me if he was hooking up with someone else. I told him specifically that I wanted to know, not that he was not allowed to, but I wanted to know. At that time, we were hooking up unprotected, and I did not want to do that if he was with someone else as well. I feel gross and used and can't help but wonder if he didn't tell me, just so I would still want to hook up with him, or just so that he didn't have to wear a condom. Story 35. I married my wife because I loved her, but I'm starting to think she only married me because I was safe. We met in college. She was stunning, popular, charismatic, and she chose me. I was quiet, nerdy, never the guy women noticed. But she noticed me, and I fell hard. We've been married 8 years now. But lately, I can't stop noticing little things. How she lights up talking about her career, her friends, but never about us. How she always calls me her rock, but never really seems excited to spend time with me. How sometimes she stares off when we're having dinner and seems a million miles away. Tonight, she fell asleep on the couch with her phone unlocked, and I saw she had been scrolling through an ex's Instagram. Not messaging him, just looking. But it felt like a punch to the gut. I don't think she's cheating, but I'm starting to believe she married me because I was stable and wouldn't hurt her. Like I was plan B, the safe bet. I love her with everything I have, and yet I can't shake the thought that she might not feel the same. I don't even know how to bring this up without sounding insecure. I just needed to get this off my chest. Story 36. I'm worried about my future because I can't imagine myself living independently. I'm in an assisted living program, and I have no idea what I'm going to do to be financially independent in the future. I'd like to stop depending on people for the rest of my life. But I have a severe executive function deficit that has basically kept me from functioning like a normal person in society. I'm really smart in some ways, but in a lot of ways, things everyone can do, I really struggle. It's so frustrating because this shit is so easy to do when you actually do it. But I just can't bring myself to do it. For example, I'm afraid to check my mail. I let the mail pile up and up. It was like a tumor growing on the table by my front door. I wound up paying $600 to a collection agency because I had a bill I didn't know about. There were also toll fees I didn't know about that set me back another $700 or so. I also struggle with hygiene. If there's a motivation to shower, shave, and do laundry, like let's say I'm meeting friends or family for dinner, or I'm sharing my camera on Discord or Zoom, then I have no problem motivating myself to clean up. But I live like a hermit. I have schizoid personality disorder, so I prefer to be alone all the time. I never shut up online though, lol, so there just isn't really a need to tidy up. This has caused problems in the past, like I went nose blind, so my clothes smelled because I didn't wash them and I didn't even know. I also avoid cleaning my surrounding like the plague. It's one of those things that I can do just fine if I actually get up off my lazy butt and do it. As I've said earlier, that is hard for reasons beyond my understanding. I don't want this post to be a total downer though. I've been taking less medication the past few months. Don't worry, it's doctor's orders, and it has me feeling much better. It's nice to feel feelings again. Then you for coming to my TED. That's extremely depressing talk. Story 37. I thought it was just an injury until I learned the value of simply walking. 3 weeks ago, during a judo training session, I was teaching a throw to a younger student. I had to correct him several times, and he eventually got frustrated. During the drill, he applied the throw with excessive force and ended up injuring me. When I fell, I didn't feel anything immediately, but when I tried to stand up, I realized I couldn't. My dad, who is also one of my senseis, rushed me to the hospital. I was medicated and later had to travel to the capital for further tests. Diagnosis: a muscle strain in the back of my thigh. I spent a week resting and was feeling much better. I could even walk again. But one day, my parents had to go out, and I was alone at home. There was a power outage in the neighborhood while I was in the bathroom. As I was heading back to my room, I slipped and injured myself again, but this time it was different. I felt unbearable pain, started crying, and dragged myself to the bed. I tried to stretch my leg, but I couldn't because of the pain. My phone wasn't nearby, so I'll spent about 30 minutes in agony until my parents returned and took me to the hospital. Thankfully, I didn't tear any muscles, but I'm having a lot of difficulty walking and need help with everything. I'm lucky to have such caring parents who have been there for me the entire time. Even during the trip for the medical tests, we tried to stay optimistic. It's been 3 weeks without being able to walk on my own. And in the middle of all this, I realized how much we underestimate simple things. Before, I never thought twice about standing up and walking somewhere. Now, I understand it's a privilege, and I know I'll look back on this as the moment I learned to truly value something so basic yet so important: being able to walk on my own. Another consequence was on my body. I've always had an easy time gaining weight, and during this period of barely moving, I gained 9 kilograms, about 20 pounds, going from 75 kilograms, 165 pounds, to 84 kilograms, 185 pounds. It's made me feel really bad about my appearance, and I know getting my weight and fitness back will be another challenge once I recover. Despite it all, I know this is temporary, and I'll be back on the mat soon. Story 38. I can't believe this. 2.5 years after he left me, citing he had to go take care of his sick father. So 1.7, 5 years in after he left me standing, and kept stringing me along like he was coming back, and that it wasn't anything I did or didn't do. Point of interest: he is a power sports salesman who is very good at his job. Makes high. A very skilled liar. We had known each other as delinquent teens, then lost touch, and 35 years later, reconnected. Thank you, Facebook. I had a very troubled and dramatic childhood, a lot of being forced on, and so much rejection on so many levels. I survived, all the while trying to figure the answer to the constant question that was thrown at me every day. What is wrong with you? Anyway, fast forward to the reconnection. We are now 50 plus years old, haven't been in contact in that time. I had left an 11-year relationship, got clean, left my hometown and state, living with my favorite family member, my little brother, one half-brother really, but I adored him above all others. And I didn't hesitate to let everyone know that, when I reconnected, I got caught up in my brain about some kind of Cinderella story, an epic love story. He let me think he felt it too, made promises and plans, insinuations, and went through the least amount of motions he could to back his words, and after 3 years together, his disguise started to crumble. I called him out on it, argument and yelling ensued, but was short-lived. In hindsight, it's the place the beginning of the end that he schmoozed out so he didn't have to see or hear what it did to me. And still lead me on, and I was so far in it, I didn't catch on. And I cannot seem to stop missing his useless coward, and in spite of all he said and did, some piece of me is convinced that he will tire of this new bitch, realize that his heart is with me, and beg me to come back, and be remorseful and sincere. Ha! Sincere isn't anywhere near his wheelhouse. The brain understands all of this, but my fool heart, ever loyal, refuses to accept that he isn't ever coming back to me. He never really cared. I was just a useful tool that played into his plans, and was very useful for a short time. But my heart, it just won't let it go. I was truly in love and believed he was the one for real. Now I don't know how to get over this. I'm in therapy, and all I've discussed, I thought I was dealing with it, and the pain would get smaller, the memory would get blurrier until it faded away. Not the case. I tried getting under a new one even, but I feel like a good part of me is in reserve for him, not letting anyone that far in, going through motions, pretending to be okay. But really, that deep inside, I'm just not okay. And I don't know how to get rid of it, how to redeem myself enough to allow another someone in. Don't have any real contenders at this point, but don't know I would recognize it if it were in front me. Any thoughts or advice? Please don't be mean, I know how stupid it is. Story 39. My collaborator used an AI when co-authoring a research paper with me. Posting this here under the cover of more anonymity than I would have on LinkedIn, where my contacts include the person I'm pointing finger at. I'm a researcher. I recently started working with a new collaborator. an assistant professor, and we decided to write a workshop paper outlining our research goal, our roadmap, and some early results. She said she'd get started on the writing, and a few days later, she shared a link to a paper already half written. Great! I can see she's been using AI, probably fed the transcript of our last call to generate some sections related to what I'm an expert in, and she isn't. And the style is great, I don't mind. It gets me something to work with. So I start doing a pass on it, rewriting some bits, adding details. When I see she cited some papers already to support some of the text, I look up the reference, not a paper I know. So I look it up on Google Scholars but can't find it. I find a paper with a similar title, like a couple of words off, but the journal is different and the authors are different. I decide to look at all the references she's put, and they're all like that. Credible, but don't actually exist. Clearly she's let the AI do a little too much. I give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she's asked the AI to generate the whole paper structure, and that included a bibliography file with hallucinated references. Maybe she was going to come back to them eventually, but when I point out, hey, I went through the references and you might have left some hallucinated ones from the AI you've used, she responds, oh, I looked up the references myself, but sure, I can check where I hallucinated. That pissed me off. I didn't say anything, but really wanted to respond, do you know why I know you hallucinated? Because you even invented a reference with my name as first author, and I surely did not write that paper.